Hello there everybody, it's Nightmare, and I fucked up. I fucked up badly. Apparently, the last episode, my line of thinking was 100% flawed. The corpse talked about in the autopsy was not Tepai, so I fucked up there in my line of thinking. I apparently got my details all mixed up, and I want to apologize for that. So basically, ignore what I said in the last episode, essentially. Looking back on it again, I smacked myself repeatedly, smashed my head against a door, and then realized, oh hey, it wasn't Tepai. I'm an idiot. And it was actually, I think one of you told me that it was revealed that it was apparently Tepai's former lover, assumingly. Okay. Interesting. Well, enough about me freaking doing a little page up. Let's just go ahead and continue where we last left off. Okay. The die of fate had been cast. Reporting to a public agency which we'd kept being warned about could instead result in something far worse than Satoko if we didn't have the evidence first. And just like that, had I failed? Had I let my emotions get the better of me in that moment? Maybe I should have stayed silent and left everything to Mion since she'd been relatively calm. I remembered the punishment game where we had to badmouth Curry and how me saying anything would have made it worse, and Satoko told us to leave the talking to her. Maybe it was the same thing here. I was impulsive, so maybe I should have just shut up and looked at the floor. But it was too late to lament it. The die I had thrown wouldn't be coming back into my hands. All we could do was pray for something good to happen.
Keiji-kun, you did everything you could, so leave it to the teachers now, okay?
Everything I could? If I really gave it everything I had, if I had really struggled, I would have dragged Satoko out of her home last night and hidden her in some abandoned house. I didn't, so that means I didn't do everything I could.
Stop thinking about it, alright? You're being a little too persistent, Keiji-kun. At this rate, you'll collapse.
Just leave me alone. I left her with those words and stared lazily up at the ceiling. I wondered if I had really got Chie-sensei to understand. Would the public agency intervene and solve everything within the day? Would they acknowledge the abuse and guarantee her safety? After lunch break, our afternoon classes were mostly self-study. The teacher came back to the classroom occasionally, but then the phone in the lounge would ring and she'd have a long conversation with the caller. Everyone in class got the feeling they knew what those phone calls were about. Sensei came trotting back from the classroom. I'm really sorry for all the phone calls recently. Let's call it a day. President, please lead the class.
Everybody stand up.
It looked to me like Sensei had been wearing a dark expression ever since after lunch break. It wasn't a very relieving expression. It wouldn't be. Even as Sensei 100% understood the situation and passionately explained it to the other person, at the end, the Child Consultation Center, as a public agency, would be the ones to decide whether to get her to safety. Sensei understood that as well as us, and that's why she looked so unreliable right now.
Kei-chan, let's go home. I don't think anyone feels like having the club today. Mi-chan, it's no fun if someone's not here.
Rainer was right. It was no fun for us if someone was missing. If the teacher's expression had shown more promise, then maybe we could have gone home more comfortably. But I couldn't let myself feel relieved. I couldn't be naive and tell myself all I can do is pray, now that the dice have been cast. Just in case they didn't get her to safety and decided to wait and see again, I'd need to take further measures. What, beat the shit out of him with that bat from the first chapter or something? I don't know. I can't imagine Keiichi actually going that far. I don't know. Not to mention, how the hell would he even... I mean, if his line of thinking actually reached the point... Because the way I'm seeing it, he's really getting involved in this. And... if he gets too involved, like, he could kind of get overwhelmed. Like, sort of like me. Like, I personally, I would do everything I can to ensure Satoko's safety, don't get me wrong. But I would have a little bit more control. Keiji seems like he lacks that sort of control as it is. So I have this feeling if this doesn't work, I don't know, there's this itching in the back of my head that's telling me he might do something he will definitely regret or something. I don't know. That metal bat from like the first chapter seems to play some sort of role, because I remember I have this feeling that it was like mentioned in the previous chapter, Watanagashi. And baseball seems to be thrown a bit like here and there. I don't know. Then there was one more place that was worth asking for help. She might laugh it off, or I might be right, and I could be endangering my own life. But I'd try. Oh, Mion? Is it okay if I stop by your place today? You've got a lot of manga, right? I want to borrow a bunch of them. Huh? Sure, I guess. There was an ominous meaning behind my words, so Mion realized what I really meant right away. I wanted to talk about something alone. That's what I meant.
Mii-chan, Keiichi-kun, let's go home.
Reina already had her shoes on and was waving to us from the schoolyard. Oh, so skips. Mion's house was gigantic in every way imaginable. The house itself was a vaguely old-fashioned traditional Japanese house, but the art, I guess, or their plot of land, was enormous. It easily convinced me that they really were major landowners with Hinamizawa under their thumb. Mion brought me through the guest room, and a servant brought us some tea. Whoa. Wow. You really are rich, huh? You've even got housekeepers?
Grandma and I are the only ones who live here. I wouldn't be able to do everything myself.
The servant left, telling us it was 5 o'clock, then withdrew with soft footsteps.
We have people come in and take care of Grandma and clean 2 or 3 times a week. They come in rotations of 3 or 4, so there's someone here almost every day. Only until evening, though. And if we're having a party or something where we need more help, we call up different people.
If you had the money to hire all these people, then just take Satoko in. I glared at her as I thought that, and Mion seemed to catch on immediately.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine. I know it's not a money problem.
Just to be clear, my family may be rich, but it's not money that I can use freely for myself, okay? I don't want you to misunderstand that.
It kind of looked like I was bullying her. You kind of are. Mion had been apologizing to me a lot lately. Was Mion the sort of person who would do that this much? Maybe it's just that I've been looking so grim lately.
So, what's up? You had something to talk about, right?
I have something pretty serious to discuss, Mion. This will be sudden, and you might be surprised, but I want you to hear me out.
Huh? What?
I'll give you a way out first. Even if what I say is true, you don't need to admit it. You're allowed to play dumb, but I want you to listen until the end. I have something to say to the next leader of what's still the most important of the 3 families of Onigafuchi Village, Mion Sonozaki. At first, Mion looked like she had no idea what I was saying, but at hearing the whole sentence and putting it together, she reacted.
Where did you hear that?
It doesn't really matter. I definitely couldn't tell her who told me. Takano-san, he told me not to, but please forgive me. This is why I asked you about it after all.
I was surprised just that you'd heard of Onigafuchi Village, Kei-chan. But you seem to know a lot of things, both true and false, about me too.
Yeah, true and false. I really might just have the wrong impression here, but I'm okay with that, so listen. And if it really is true...
I don't know what you're getting at, Kei-chan, but let me say this beforehand. You've got a big misunderstanding. So if it were possible, I wouldn't want to hear what you're about to say. Because even if you said it, I can't do anything to help you. Still, if talking about it will lighten your burden even a little, I'll listen. I'm only just going to listen. Nothing more will happen. Are you okay with that?
Yeah. Mion seemed to know what kind of thing I'd be talking about. She warned me that doing so would be fruitless. That much was obvious. If what I was going to say was true, then the Sonozaki family would be the masterminds behind the string of freak deaths that had been occurring every year in Hinamizawa. You know that stuff about Oyashido-sama's curse, right? Mion nodded a little. No one knows what it is, or why it happens. Even if each incident is solved, the string of deaths and accidents as a whole is still a mystery. But there's one thing connecting them all, and that's how the targets are always enemies of the village.
Seems like it.
Mion spoke as if it didn't relate to her. That was fine. She didn't have to admit it. For now, I just wanted her to stay quiet and listen to me. The day after tomorrow. It's Watanagashi, isn't it? Has the sacrifice for this year's curse been decided already? Mion didn't answer. Her expression remained the same, too. Like she said, she was just quietly listening. Sorry. The promise was that you'd just listen, so it's weird for me to ask a question, huh? Mion gave me a look she'd never given me before. A faraway look. A sympathetic one. She didn't nod, she just smiled faintly and listened to me. If this year's curse isn't going to be on Satoko's uncle, then please change it to him. I mean, last year it was her aunt, right? It's in the right order, so it wouldn't be weird.
You're right. It seems like there's an order.
I mean, after her aunt died to the curse last year, he abandoned Satoko and fled into the town for the whole year. Why wouldn't a guy like that definitely be next on Oyashido-sama's list? There shouldn't be any issue with choosing him for this year.
I see. If he were to die from the curse this year, no one would see anything unusual about it.
I heard that Oyashido-sama's curse is, well, no matter how I looked at it, I wasn't sure whether I should continue. No matter how I tried, the words wouldn't come out.
The string of freak deaths in Hinamizawa, also called Oyashido-sama's curse. You're saying they're incidents perpetrated by the village, carried out by the three families at the Sonozaki's instructions. Is that it?
I wasn't. I don't care one bit whether you have anything to do with it. I'm just saying, if you have any way of communicating with whoever decides the targets of the curse, then I just want you to tell them to choose Satoko's uncle. Please.
Everything you've been saying has been terrible. If the freak death incidents in Hinamizawa were carried out by the will of the Sonozaki family, that would mean the main culprit would be me, wouldn't it? I would have chosen the target of the curse, given the instructions, killed many people, and gotten rid of others. You're calling me a murderer, Kei-chan.
I didn't say that. Didn't you listen to me? I don't care whether you're the one behind the murders or not. I just don't. Even if you were the culprit, it doesn't change the fact that you're my friend. It doesn't matter at all. If the police were chasing you, I'd come to help. I can make you an alibi and even help you escape. Because we're friends and comrades. Keiichi, what the... Aren't we? Mion looked surprised for a while. She was dumbfounded.
Now you're declaring yourself complicit. Kei-chan, that's pretty bold of you.
Come on, don't interrupt. Satoko's uncle, choose him for...
Stop right there, Kei-chan. I want to start on dinner soon, so I'd like to leave things at like this.
Mion! I then realized that my cheeks were wet with tears. They slid down my chin and fell, drip-drop, to the tatami mat.
It's like I said at the start. You've got a big misunderstanding. Oyashido-sama's curse is just that. Even if there were people behind those incidents, they don't have anything to do with the Sonozaki family or me either.
Right. I understand that. It's just...
It was touching to hear such a desperate plea, Kei-chan, but that's all it was. Even if I wanted to help, I can't. You understand that too, right?
Yeah.
But now I know how you feel so well it hurts. If I really were, like you said, the one controlling the three families and choosing the sacrifices every year, I'd probably grant your wish. Mion! But the reality is different. I'm just Mion Sonozaki. My family may be the subject of all sorts of bad rumors about controlling Hinamizawa from the shadows, but we have nothing to do with the freak death incidents. We may have been a little extreme during the dam war, but that's all. We would never do something so insane as to kill people. That's... Don't say such sad things. Right now, at least. I don't care. Why can't you just be nice and lie to me? Kei-chan, you're free to believe what you like. If I lied to you now, you'd be convinced Satoko would be freed the night after tomorrow, and you'd be able to shed much of your burden. However, reality is harsh. Satoko's uncle will survive beyond that day. He'd still be alive next week, and the week after that. You need to prepare yourself for that. I don't want you coming to me the day after Watsunagashi and demanding to know why he wasn't killed. Mion stood up slowly and closed the sliding door to keep out the wind that had grown chilly. Was it Miyu-san? Did she give you all those ideas? She really likes to misunderstand things about Hinamizawa. Well, we can let her have her fun. But I don't really want her influencing you, Kei-chan. Jeez. This is why outsiders are no good. Takano-san has nothing to do with it. Right. Don't worry. Even though I know she told you about it, Kei-chan, nothing's going to happen. It's not like Miyu-san will be chosen for this year's curse. Besides, we don't even know for sure if the curse will happen this year. Maybe it was all just a pile of unfortunate incidents. Thanks for listening. If you aren't connected to the Zero Deaths at all, then that must have been an uncomfortable conversation. I'll apologize for it. I see. You'll apologize for it. Mion said she didn't have much time, but she still brought me to the gate. She said she had a meeting or something today about Sunday's Watsunagashi festival, so there would be a lot of people from the town council and the festival committee coming. Despite her day being so busy, she still listened to what I had to say. If there's a God in heaven, then he probably understands how strongly you feel. Yeah. I'm really sorry for being so weird today. You can pretend like this discussion never happened if you want. Okay. I'll forget about it. Okay. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. I had really only spent a short time with Mion. Talking to her made me think. It was clear that what Takano-san had told me, at least, wasn't a complete fabrication. If Mion was really, really unconnected to the incidents, then she probably wouldn't have listened to me so quietly. She heard me out until I was done without making any quips, and I wanted to think that was proof. I did kind of feel like I was grasping at straws. Of course, thinking back on it, it was a terrible thing to discuss. I mean, I went to my friend's house, called her a serial murderer, and then told her to kill Satoko's uncle. I was the only one talking that whole time. Mion quietly listened to everything I had to say like a pastor listening to a confession. She could have gotten angry partway through, told me off, and to go wash my face in miso soup and come back later. But she didn't. Was that proof that Mion's family, the Sonozaki, were the masterminds? Or was she just listening because she felt sorry for me going kind of crazy? I didn't know which it was. Neither do I! But it was the one effort I could make at the moment. It was another form of insurance. Should worst come to worst and the public agency decided to wait and see, it was a completely useless resistance, literally grasping at straws. Sensei said that if she reported it to the Child Consultation Center, they'd have to respond on the same day. Could they already be in the middle of responding to it now? If Satoko came to school tomorrow morning all energetic, then everything would be just a needless fear. Why couldn't tomorrow come faster? That night was unusually hot and humid, and I couldn't get to sleep. I said all that to Sensei. They couldn't possibly decide to wait and see again this year. Satoko, what was it like for her tonight? Had she tasted the end of her nightmare, enjoying a night of liberation? I actually put my hands together,
and prayed into my futon. Oh. Daylight.
Good morning, Keiji-kun.
Morning.
Thank goodness. I thought you overslept today, too. Your mom said you'd gone on ahead yesterday and then you weren't at school. I was worried that you had gotten heat stroke halfway there.
Yeah. I'm very sorry for all the worry I caused you yesterday.
Hey, good morning. Mi-chan, good morning. Wow, you really stink of liquor. You'll get found out for sure.
Oh, right. Wasn't there a big business meeting with all the people on the town council yesterday?
They only called it that. It was more like a party. We have the festival every year, right?
We wouldn't have any annoying meetings at this point.
Are you going to help out with the festival this afternoon, then?
Yep.
I have to do a meet and greet with all sorts of people in Grandma's place. Besides, they already started setting up for the festival.
Our morning conversation was lighthearted as usual. It looked like Mion had thankfully forgotten about how I'd barged into her house yesterday with that crazy talk. The more I think back on it, I felt like I'd really said something terrible to her. I was really thoughtless, and it wouldn't have been weird if she'd yelled at me. It was highly possible Takano-san had exaggerated her story. To think that our comrade and friend Mion, the young leader of the Sonozakis, one of the three families effectively controlling Hinamizawa, was pulling the strings behind the serial death incidents was a little unbelievable. But if there was even 1% chance that it was true, then what I said yesterday to Mion might have been a success. Yes, it was no more than 1 in 100. But that little bit of effort might have brought the chances of saving Satoko up by even a tiny bit. At least I'd made that effort. After yesterday ended, I was sure I'd done everything I possibly could. If there was something else I could do, it was probably just to clap my hands and pray that Satoko's uncle would be killed by the curse. I hope Satoko makes it today.
Me too. Sensei is doing things for her, right? I'm sure it'll be fine. My aunt is a welfare agent in the Hinamizawa district. I gave her a call last night. Huh? I didn't know your aunt was a welfare officer. What happened? Did you tell her about Satoko-chan? Yep. Chie-sensei called the Child Consultation Center right after we talked to her. A child welfare officer apparently visited before the night was over. My aunt said that they were going to pay visits at regular intervals from now on.
Enough with the dumb little stuff. I want to know what happened to Satoko. Did they get her safe?
My aunt wasn't that informed about it. I was supposed to keep this a secret anyway. Her telling me was a big breach of ethics in the first place.
Damn, that makes me feel even worse.
Let's get to school.
Right. Discussing this more would just make us feel worse. It was far quicker to go to school and see if Satoko was safe or not. The three of us nodded and ran off. I really hope she was okay. Was Satoko safe? What measures had the Child Consultation Center taken? I didn't care what. As long as we could go back to our peaceful life with Satoko today, it didn't matter to me. At the shoe racks of the entrance, Reina took a peek in Satoko's shoe cubby.
Ah! Satoko's shoes are here! They're here! Kei-chan, Satoko came. Thank goodness!
We don't know if anything happened just because she came to school. We can't know anything until we see her face. We trotted towards the classroom. The classroom was lively, as it usually was in the morning. Satoko! Where are you?
She's right here. It's too early in the morning to be so loud. Would you please keep it down a bit? Satoko-chan! Are you okay?
All of our friends crowded around Satoko excitedly.
A probation officer came, right? How did it go? Who was it that called them? I swear, it was quite a mess, you know.
It was the teacher. You were absent for so long, of course she was worried. Satoko said, "I told you I'm fine," under her breath. She was still trying to overcome all the suffering on her own.
It was a big bother to both me and my uncle. That person just barged in on us suddenly. Jeez. Everyone was worried about you, Satoko. Don't say it was a bother.
Jeez, anyway, what happened?
Nothing happened. My cold got better, so I came back to school. That's all. I can't take too much time off from now, because then you'll all be worried about me.
What was Satoko saying?
What happened to, well, your uncle? Oh, he admitted there were some misunderstandings, and we both apologized.
Rika-chan grabbed the back of my collar and pulled me away. What is it, Rika-chan? Rika-chan silently dragged me all the way into the hallway. Rika-chan, what did that mean?
Satoko said nothing was happening and chased them away.
That idiot! But why? No. Somewhere in my mind I thought it might turn out like this. Satoko didn't ask for anyone's help. She didn't hide behind anyone. She was trying to ride out this pain. She wanted to show Satoshi proof that if he came back to them, she wouldn't need to hide behind him anymore. But a coach said probation officers can bring her to safety in an emergency even if it's against her wishes. However much Satoko denies the abuse, it's a fact. Chie-sensei finally came. Her expression was far from cheerful. Yes, you're right, Mayabara-kun. If the child welfare officer determines that it's an emergency, they have the right to immediately take them to safety, regardless of the affected party's intent. Then why? Why is Satoko's intent being respected so much? It's weird. Why don't they put her in safety? Well, after the person in charge of the Child Consultation Center looked into it from many angles, they determined... What the hell is that? Sensei, didn't you say it was going to be alright? Since you definitely save her? What's the meaning of this? This doesn't make any sense. Answer me, damn it!
Keiichi, this is actually the third time someone has reported Satoko's child abuse. It happened twice in the past, too.
Furude-san! Sensei tried to stop her, but Rika-chan went on speaking anyway. Twice before. I heard they decided to wait and see after reporting it the winter before last, but it happened before then, too?
Satoko's father, who died, wasn't her real father.
What? Rika-chan, that's... What? I'm stunned at the sudden revelation. I had no idea what Rika-chan wanted to tell me, but it seemed really important, so I couldn't get a word in either.
Satoko's mother remarried. She brought Satoko and Satoshi with her, so they weren't related by blood to their father.
Satoshi was a good kid, one who listened politely to what adults told him. He immediately welcomed by their new father and was loved. But Satoko was different. She was rebellious, she told lies, she played pranks. Her stepfather didn't like her at all. What? So, what do you mean?
Even before she was given to their uncle and his wife, Satoko didn't have a very good relationship with her family.
Of course, her stepfather didn't have any malicious intent at the start. At first, he must have worked hard to get his new daughter to accept him. But the young Satoko didn't make any effort at all towards that end. She was distant towards her stepfather and never opened her heart to him even a little. She just got him on his nerves all the time, with seemingly forced lies and pranks. Her father's discipline and punishment must have been loving at first, of course, but that too faded quickly. I don't know because I wasn't in Hinamizawa at the time. Oh, but I learned this on the phone yesterday. What story did you hear, Sensei?
That Satoko-chan wanted to trick her parents, especially her stepfather, so she inflicted wounds on herself so she could make up a false story about abuse, and that she sent out an SOS herself.
What? She made up a story about hurting herself?
Satoko made a fake phone call to try and get rid of the father she hated.
Child welfare officers rushed there and heard the story. Her father genuinely apologized for a few times when he'd gone too far and agreed to let the child welfare center give him a coaching.
Related agencies looked into it quite a bit. They determined that Satoko-chan and her stepfather's hearts not being quite matched up was the cause of the incident. But they found another problem, above that, with Satoko-chan.
A problem with Satoko? What was it? Satoko's mother. There were a few times where she had lived with de facto husbands, though those relationships didn't result in remarriage. From a young age, Satoko had been forced to call at least 2 or 3 people her father. At some point, Satoko's pranks escalated. She would spill food on purpose, turn over her plate, and even throw it. She would break the windows in the neighborhood and shoplift candy. She would put thumbtacks everywhere and set other traps to seriously hurt people. Not in the way she did now, just to get laughs. She was also fond of telling lies that would be found out right away, and people got mad at her every time. But she never ever changed her behavior.
Please don't think Satoko-chan was a problem child. Satoko-chan was young. It was an act of self-defense that she had to take against the unknown men her mother had chosen.
In regards to Satoko's problematic behavior, child psychology experts from public institutions indicated her actions were to draw her mother's attention to herself. They acknowledged that she had a form of harmful emotional trauma and declared that she needed counseling and therapy from professionals. They didn't know whether that therapy had healed the wounds in her heart.
Satoko-chan purposefully hurt herself and told them that she was being abused by her stepfather in an attempt to chase him out. But in the end, her stepfather did abuse her, right? No. All of the abuse had been made up by Satoko-chan. Her stepfather, of course, may have scolded her in a somewhat emotional way, but it was nothing out of the ordinary. Satoko had lied to chase away her stepfather, and they saw through her right away and found out that Satoko had issues. Could it be that's why the winter before last they decided to wait and see? Yes. The Child Consultation Center had all their past records, so they needed to act carefully in case Satoko was lying. What the hell? So what? Satoko might be telling a lie, so they needed to be careful. So, how does that mean they just end up waiting and seeing? It was the girl who cried wolf.
That fable about telling a lie once, making others unwilling to believe you later.
That's bullshit! The past has nothing to do with this, does it? Only what's really happening right now is important. Satoko is being abused by her uncle. Why is something like that happened in the past getting in the way of helping her now?
Neither Sensei nor Rika-chan had anything to say to that.
Anyway, yesterday, a probation officer visited carefully to determine what was going on.
And Satoko dealt with them, put on the best, strongest smile she could manage, and denied the abuse. Of course, she was probably being threatened to keep quiet about it by her uncle. Satoko was trying to outlast everything without asking for help. Satoko wanted to wait for Satoshi to come back home, and she outright denied the truth of the abuse. What an idiot. What? You're not really enduring it. Do you really think pretending like this will actually bring Satoshi back? Just stop it already. Satoshi, he abandoned you. And the fact that he hasn't shown up to save you now is proof, isn't it? So just stop it. Please, stop being weird and pretending to endure it. Forget everything we just said. Understand? If we tell anyone else, your teacher will be very mad with you. Chie-sensei gave me a warning, then left to go back to the teacher's lounge.
Keiji, please don't think Satoko is a pathetic, pitiful girl. She's living life.
I know that! She's our irreplaceable friend.
Satoko is still trying her best. Let's watch over her a little longer. The person from the consultation center said they'd visit periodically from now on. If something terrible happens, they'll help her right away.
Yeah, but only after it happens. Any more than that would have sounded like I was picking a fight, so I firmly swallowed my next words and went back to the classroom. Mion and Reina were talking to Satoko like they always did. It was a silly conversation. A humorous, even fun one, like it was any old day. If Satoko really said she could still endure it, then maybe I should do as Rika-chan said and watch over her. Maybe whatever help I offer will just go unwanted. And now we have the halfway point. Part of me was thinking that this would have happened.
Okay, why don't we all have lunch? Beep. It's been a while since it's been all 5 of us. This really is how it has to be. Here, here. Come on, you too, Kei-chan. Bring your desk over.
Satoko brought her own desk over as well, grinning proudly. Even knowing nothing had been resolved, this exchange was pleasant and made me remember how fun it used to be.
I can't have Rika making a bento for me forever. I don't mind. I have fun making your bento.
Rika-chan's such a good girl. Having such a good friend must be so reassuring.
I put in the big steak, and Satoko puts in the burnt stuff. So if it was just Satoko, it would be so sad. So very sad, Nipa.
I take it back. Well, she's Rika-chan after all.
Hey, come on, look! I've got omelet rice today. Mushrooms and stuff are delicious. Delicious. I say it every time, but your craftsmanship is splendid. You could become a wife whenever and not have a problem. A wife? Eating a wife? Using the word wife is totally forbidden around Reina. Please don't say it again. I'll think about what I've done, a little.
By the way, what's in your lunch, Mion? It looks different again today. We're all waiting in anticipation.
It's a rich assortment of side dishes left over from what my uncle brought last night. The stew looks really great, huh? The color of the radishes, too. Really good, right? Wow, it looks delicious.
Stew tastes best when it's left overnight. This looks like it would be really good. And so there'll be none left for Satoko. I'll eat it all and tell you what I think, so just be quiet and watch.
What was that? Hand over my portion, too.
Elbow punch headbutt. You'll use my knees, too.
Oh, at close range like this, my advantage is unwavering. Keiji-san, the daikon in your portion tastes really good.
Damn it. Coming right for me from the start and using a combo attack. How humiliating. This little exchange, how long had it been? It looked like they ended up going with the wait-and-see approach, but maybe her uncle had realized he'd gone a little too far and would dial it back now. If her treatment improved a little, would that be a good thing? Satoko was grinning wider than I'd ever seen as she chomped down on her mouthful of the daikon she'd plundered me from. Plundered from me! Blech. Did it really taste that good? Satoko was somewhat cute like that. And just as I'd done many times, I grabbed her head and started petting it. Catch! Smack, flip-flop, clatter-clatter. Yeah? Huh?
Satoko-chan?
It was so sudden that, for a moment, I didn't know what happened. The back of my hand was stinging. I went to pet Satoko's head, and then she hit my hand? What's wrong, Satoko? Satoko was scratching at her head, as though a pimple or something had appeared on it and became itchy. It was so sudden and so unprovoked that I didn't understand what happened. What's wrong, Satoko? At some point, her body had been covered in a thin layer of sweat and her breathing had turned ragged. When I pet her head, did she not like it? Was that what it meant? Hey, did you dislike being petted? Once again, slowly, I held out the palm of my hand and brought it close to Satoko's head. The instant the palm of my hand touched her head, there was a shock, like static electricity, and Satoko began to howl. Thud, slam. She grabbed my arm in both hands, and as if flinging off a snake trying to cling to her, as if trying to throw away something dirty, she threw it violently. It happened too suddenly for me to react. I hit the desk behind me, and both it and I fell to the floor. What? What the hell just... The classroom fell deathly silent. As Satoko bellowed, it sounded like she was in the throes of death and she unsteadily backed away. Then she threw up the food she'd just eaten. She vomited it all back up. Splish splash. The sound of Satoko's vomit hitting the floor rang through the classroom. Are you okay, Satoko? You seem sick. I reached out a hand and then she swatted it away with all her might, with such extreme strength that I fell onto the floor again. Satoko put both hands on her head as though protecting it, groaned some more and took a few steps back. And then she began swinging both hands around. Students in nearby seats were forced to evacuate. She grabbed anything within reach, bento boxes, chairs, threw them, tossed them, and flung them about. What the hell did... What did that uncle do to her? Well, wait, stop it, Satoko! What's wrong with you? She screamed out as if Mion's words had caused her physical pain. No one spoke a word to her. All the students were withdrawing behind us, leaving Satoko alone in the corner of the classroom. Around her, their desks and chairs all over the floor. Bento lay scattered. It was terrible. All I could hear was Satoko's ragged breaths and the voices of the cicadas. I'm sorry. The strings of tension loosened around Satoko, and maybe she suddenly grew scared of her own actions because she started trembling and gave a word of apology. But nobody knew just who that apology was directed towards. So for now, I decided to answer as everyone's representative. No, it's fine. Are you all right? I'm sorry. Our words didn't match each other at all. Satoko hugged her shoulders, and back she went. Bang! She ran into the locker with the cleaning supplies in it. Even that made her give a little yelp. The impact caused the bucket atop the locker to fall, making a loud sound, and that scared Satoko most of all. She almost jumped out of her skin, grabbing a bunch of the curtains in her hands. Nobody spoke to her. They could only look, not even remembering to blink. I'm sorry. It wasn't me. Satoko, what on earth? That line, it wasn't me. What the hell did that uncle do to her? I stood up, took a step away from everyone, and approached Satoko. What happened? I said, I don't know. You're wrong. Please stop. Forgive me. Just calm down. Satoko, do you know who I am? No more. I hate this. Every time I took a step forward, she grasped the curtains more tightly and cried out. Satoko, it's me. It's Keiichi. Don't you recognize me? I would never, ever hurt you. Oh. Come on, calm down. It's all right. I'm your friend. Help me. I don't want to be scared. It feels bad. No, What the... He didn't do what I think he did he? Suddenly, my shoulders were grabbed and I was dragged backward. It was Reina. Sorry, Keiichi-kun. You get a little farther back. After pulling me back, she ran towards Satoko in my place. It's okay, Satoko-chan. There's nothing to be scared of. Please, don't worry. No more of that. Nini. Help me, Nini, help me. As she gripped the curtains and kept calling for Nini, she continued to wail about being forgiven for something and to be saved from something. What is this? Mion gnashed her teeth and groaned, and there were tears falling from her firmly closed eyes. What the hell? What is this? Didn't this all come to an end yesterday? Weren't we supposed to go back to our old lives? Mion! Crash! There was a crazy sound. Reina had taken the cleaning supply locker and kicked it down onto the ground. Everyone stood surprised at Reina's unexpected act of brutality. After that, Reina embraced the bawling Satoko from behind and started crying with her, stifled. Reina, what's wrong? Sorry. Keiichi-kun, be quiet for a minute. What is it now? What happened? What did Satoko tell you? What did you hear? Shut the hell up! I told you to shut your mouth, asshole! Reina's raw, hostile emotion hit me like a brick. It was no more than a momentary howl of emotion for Reina, but it was more than that for me. She had shown me what was behind all that emotion, what was in her heart. Satoko-chan? No more. Forgive us. We couldn't do anything for you. Forgive us.
Nini. I'm sorry.
Forgive us for being unable to do anything. Reina's words made me feel as though the blood vessels in the back of my head were suddenly all turning to ash. My vision grew distant, blurred with gray, and the world lost its color. I thought we could save Satoko. But though I knew it'd be sooner than better, I thought there was no time limit for doing that. I never even dreamed that we could be too late. I'd been making a huge mistake. I thought Satoko could be hurt, but never that she'd break. It was such a huge mistake. People, they break. Thinking that they don't is absolutely absurd. We needed to save Satoko. We needed to save her before she broke. That fatal lapse in awareness had brought this on. Whose fault was it? That went without saying. Mine. No. Ours. We all took on the duty of saving Satoko, but we were negligent to the point of laziness. In that sense, this was the inevitable result. Even if this didn't happen today, and it happened tomorrow, the day after, or next week, we would have just sat around doing nothing until that day. So this was the obvious result. I slumped down to my knees, just as Mion and Rika-chan had done, and I too closed my eyes tight, and couldn't stop myself from sobbing.
What is all the noise about? Wait, what's happened?
The teacher came, and her face screwed up at the terrible spectacle before her. The instant she realized the teacher was here, Satoko went through another complete change. She wiped her face with the curtains, and like nothing happened, smiled.
Hojo-san? What on earth is going on here? I just got into a little squabble with Reina-san is all. We went a little crazy over our lunches, right?
Reina did not nod in reply, but then, since Satoko wished it, she nodded without strength. The rest of the class couldn't keep up with her extreme changes. We all just stared in a daze.
It was just a little horseplay. I scared everyone out of their wits.
Satoko would probably sweep the whole thing under the rug. For what? Her heart is torn to pieces. So what? What else? You wanted your Nini to help, didn't you? But unfortunately for you, Satoshi doesn't ever intend on coming back. It's never that easy. He won't just conveniently show up and save you. So you don't have to wait for him anymore. You can cry, beg for help, and you can run away. Ugh.
We can't do anything,
Mion suddenly said. She spoke then, those few words that had tormented me countless times. Those words were a spell, and when I heard them, my whole body suddenly regained its calm. My emotions all slipped away like they'd never been there, like a wave departing. And then the world's color flipped inside out. What the hell? My field of view expanded. My head grew remarkably cold, and I felt like my mind's volume had grown even wider than the classroom we were in. At the time, my soul was doubtlessly no longer in the small petty vessel of my head, but floating in the air a little bit above it. It was a mysterious feeling of release. I broke free of the cramped confines of my skull and stretched out my roots in all directions as far as I wanted to. It was a strange feeling, and one I'd never felt ever before. An odd sense of exhilaration. Keiichi, what the hell? My sharpened senses caused me to transcend. My mind was sharper than a knife's edge, and I immediately decided that spending the time to let myself be crushed with grief would be an absolute waste. I erased all the garbage information from my brain. I expelled the pointless emotions presenting obstacles to action. Mion, you curse it all you want. Curse our powerlessness as much as you want.
Huh?
If I could have taken back what had happened that I'm crying about, I'd have cried all day. But the fact was, this is how things had turned out. I couldn't take back what had happened. The top priority then would be to prevent the situation from worsening further and to sever the chains of misfortune. What are you planning? Until today, I'd been looking at things so narrow-mindedly I could scarce believe it. To save Satoko, the only thing to do was to save Satoko. That's the only thing I thought about. I did not allow myself to realize the most basic, direct, and certain way of removing the source of Satogo's unhappiness. No. Actually, I realized it yesterday. Keiichi, what are you... But as for the means, I'd relied on some stupid curse from some dumb deity. I never even considered carrying the task out myself. What? Keiichi, you don't want to do this. I would obliterate Satogo's uncle. There are plenty of ways to do it. This was a task that held infinite methods. Ironically, the method of saving Satogo required mostly money. But the method of killing that man pretty much took no money at all. I could kill him with the least amount of investment. The least amount of money suited him. It was only the weight of his life. I kept eliminating needless, worthless information from my head, replenishing it with the only knowledge I'd need to achieve my goal. I used every cell in my brain to think about how I'd kill him. Keiichi, this is not good. You shouldn't be thinking this. The way I killed him didn't matter. I would allow any method, from whatever time and whatever country, as long as it ended in a quick and certain death. If I were to have an additional condition, it would be to not get caught. Removing him was an act designed to return the peaceful times we had with Satogo. If I was arrested in exchange for the removal, then we might as well have killed each other. With only him gone, we'd go back to our normal lives. That was my supreme objective. My ultimate goal. Kill him. Definitely. But definitely don't leave evidence, either. Two alternatives at odds with one another. The condition of not leaving a trace back to me automatically narrowed the number of murder methods. No witnesses was an absolute must. Fortunately, given that right time in Hinamizawa, there would be nobody around. Keiichi, what the hell? I mentally reconstructed the land around Satogo's house. The number of pedestrians, different at different times. The movement algorithm of the neighbors. Would I lure him out or charge at him? What would my weapon be? When and where would I carry this out? Where? It needed to be somewhere I wouldn't leave a trace. When? It needed to be as soon as possible for Satogo's safety without wasting even a millisecond. This is absurd. Completely absurd. When I thought about it this way, it struck me how easy the act of killing was. If I could leave evidence, if I was just going to kill him, anyone could easily turn into a murderer. But our reason prevented that. It told us doing so would get us arrested for sure. In the end, being arrested by the police was the final thing preventing people from committing homicide. No, this is not the right option, Keiichi. There has to be something else. Absurd. If you went all the way out into the very middle of the ocean, you wouldn't leave any trace at all. Anyone would drop those they hated into the depths if they knew that. It was all too easy to simply remove him. I could leave class right now, grab a metal baseball bat or something from the schoolyard, go to his house and attack him. Didn't I just... I was joking before! I was fucking joking! Estimated time would be 25 minutes. If I wanted us to kill each other, it wouldn't even be minutes. I could do it in 1,500 seconds. I knew just how much this continued existence depended on me. He was nothing. I could expel him from this world within just 1,500 seconds after making up my mind. But when I decided what to do, he only had 1,500 seconds. Actually, if I ran full speed to his house, that number would go down even further. But he was alive. He was still part of this world at this very moment, having torn Satogo's body and mind to shreds. Why? Because I was letting him live. I was permitting him to live, so he was alive. If I rescinded that permission, he would be evacuating this mortal coil within 1,500 seconds. You think I'd let you live to breathe even 1,500 seconds more of seconds of air? I've taken that permission back, right here, right now. You'd better thank me for letting you live until today. However, I actually need more than 1,500 seconds. I'm not just gonna end you. Getting back our old lives is far more important. It's only you I'll be cleanly cutting out of this world. They won't find a culprit. I'll forget that I dirtied my hands on the likes of you as naturally as I brushed my teeth before bed. So to do that, I'll make a special exception for you and give you more than 1,500 seconds.
I'll give you special permission to keep on living as you have until I can construct the perfect plan for your murder. Wait, Keiichi, you can't let that time go to waste. Yeah, I know. I'll kill him quickly. I'll remove him with certainty. I won't misuse any time to think of a plan. Think back. Tomorrow is Watanagashi, isn't it? Last year, on the night of Watanagashi, her aunt died. Her head was busted open by some deviant, and her brains splattered everywhere. That's it! He's someone who deserves to be given death on the night of Watanagashi. Hey, Oyashiru-sama, you call yourself a guardian, but you didn't protect Satoko. Cursing Satoko's family for the damn stuff is your own business, but now you've made Satoko unhappy when she didn't have anything to do with it. I, Keiichi Maebara, hereby denounce you, the guardian deity of Hinamizawa, a failure. We don't need you. Go back to the deepest, darkest part of your shrine this year. Besides, if you had just cursed and killed both her aunt and her uncle last year, none of this would have ever happened. The curse this year, it's not on you. I'll be the one deciding. It won't be the three families controlling the serial deaths behind the scenes. No, not some vague people who I can't tell if they're buffoons or not. This time, I'll be the one to deliver divine judgment. So don't get in my way. Just watch. Stay quiet and watch. I'll obliterate him. I'll wipe him off the face of the earth. I will stomp out his very existence. Go away. Disappear and die. I'll tear your heart apart just like you did to Satoko. I'll have your blood as payment. Good Lord, Keiichi. Keiichi-kun, are you alright? Reina, Mion, and Rika-chan were looking after me. Had I fallen to the floor?
You surprised us. You suddenly fell down. Were you having a nightmare? You were moaning.
Shut it. Quit squeaking at me like that.
Eep.
My friends gave a start and backed away. What? Rain and the others, they exchanged glances, unsure of what to say, and stood confused for a few moments.
Was that your voice, Keiichi-kun?
Of course it was. Reina gulped firmly and opened her mouth.
For a second, Keiichi-kun, your eyes were really scary.
My eyes? Probably just a trick of the light. Don't waste my time.
I'm not mistaken. I've never seen those kinds of eyes before.
What were these guys talking about? They've all been too scared of me lately.
You are Keiichi Maebara-kun, right?
What was Reina saying? Who else do I look like except Keiichi Maebara? The look I gave her seemed to speak quite eloquently to those irritated thoughts. She understood and quickly apologized. Keiichi, what the hell?
I'm sorry. Don't worry about it.
What the hell? Keiichi, what the hell? You've received new tips. Emergency D23 number 44. 1500 seconds. What the fuck? June 18th, 1983. Abuse issues regarding Satoko Hojo. Urgent. We propose that Satoko Hojo must be taken into immediate custody based on the items below. 1. Family situation. Life with adoptive father who recently returned to Hinamizawa has already turned disastrous, and she is currently subject to unendurable physical and mental abuse from the father. 2. Child Consultation Center's response. A child probation officer was dispatched yesterday on the 17th from the prefectural welfare office, but because of the 77 case, changed to continue coaching and cautionary action. Unfortunately, the consultation office head does not properly understand the situation. 3. Status of concerned child. Child already appears to be suffering from an outbreak of something close to neurosis or manic depression. If her unstable pubescent mind is negatively stimulated by stress, it will put her development of a healthy body and mind at risk. This cannot be allowed to continue from a humane standpoint.
Number 4. Allegations made to the family court. We propose, based on the above items, that Satoko Hojo should immediately be taken into protective custody. She should be secured temporarily under emergency allegations to the family court under Article 28. We request emergency coordination between all related agencies. D23, number 44. Fukujiso, D23, number 44, 1977. Child name? Satoko Hojo. Residence? Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone. Consultation circumstances. Telephone SOS from child of child abuse. Abuse situation. Child claims she is being physically abused by her adoptive father. Family structure. 0 marks abusers. Adoptive father, real mother, older brother, child in question. Note, adoptive father and real mother entered family registry in 19 blank. The child is the daughter of the mother's previous husband. Child consultation center's response. On the day of the child telephone consultation, the center called the child's school and asked of her situation. On that day, the child welfare office on duty visited the child's house and conducted an interview. The adoptive father sincerely listened to instruction and agreed to take child raising workshops in the city from now on. As part of the suggested coaching, the center will continue to observe the situation. Other notes. As a result of numerous counseling sessions at the city's educational consultation office regarding the child, we learned that there was a high possibility the cause of the child's excessive distrust towards her adoptive father was the result of a lack of communication. The abuse she claimed hadn't actually taken place. She had made a false report to distance herself from her adoptive father. Below is a note written in pencil by the person on duty at the time. The problem appeared to be more with the daughter. Chief Investigator F of the city's education consultation office said that most of her stories of abuse were likely fabrications. They decided to shift the focus of their coaching to the child. Be cautious not to take everything the child says as truth. Holy shit, what was up with this chapter? Okay, first question. What the hell did that uncle do to her that caused her to break? I don't want to assume it. But the things that she was saying, did he... I honestly don't want to say it. But you guys know what I'm thinking. Did he actually do that to her? I'm just taking into contact of what she was saying. I know some of the stuff that she was repeating must have been to her saying how it wasn't her that reported it. I could tell that that was what some of the words she was saying were referring to. But some of the other things that she was saying, they really have me worried on that. And 2, Keiichi finally snapped. In all honesty, I wasn't expecting that. Like, I had some inclination that Keiichi might do something drastic, but I wasn't expecting him to do something to conceivably think to actually kill someone. Good lord. It was going so well in the first half, and then the second half... Good freaking God. First Satoko breaks, and then freaking Keiichi breaks. I have a feeling the next chapter might be a slightly longer one. I don't know. I just have this feeling. If Keiichi's actually going to go through with this, then it's going to be a long one next episode. I just have this feeling. Oh, shit. That's some heavy stuff right there. I honestly have nothing else to say. I mean, that outburst from Satoko, and then Keiichi's, I'm just gonna say, his freaking psyche snapped and his reason just went out the window. honestly floored, speechless, really. I don't know what to theorize, I don't know what to add. I'm more or less shocked that they brought up the whole thing about the bat again. And if theories are going to bring this to me, if my thinking is correct, is if he's actually going to go through with this and actually kill the guy, then I have a very strong feeling that in some sort of cruel twist of irony that he might use Satoshi's old bat from the first chapter, from Onikakushi. Because baseball and bats seem to be a recurring theme, I think. Shit. I honestly have nothing else to think. I really have nothing else to theorize here. Only that I'm upset that I'm going to have to end this here right now. Because what's after this, I'm going to have to record another episode of Danganronpa, because I still want to keep people interested in that. But note that I'm definitely going to do another episode of this after an episode of Danganronpa, because call it morbid curiosity. I honestly want to see if Keiichi's actually going to go through with this. Like, maybe, hopefully, at the last second, he'll suddenly realize how stupid of a decision this is. But this is Higurashi. Shit's going to happen, and and as much as I want Keiichi to, freaking snap out of it and try to think of a better method, I have this feeling he's actually going to go through with it. And that's all I've got. I'm just going to save it again because I can. And we'll leave it here. Jeez, that second half, that threw me. Thanks for listening, watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I have a really bad feeling about this. I really do. And I have a very bad... I just have this feeling in the pit of my stomach. Like, I don't know, maybe that's gas, I don't know. I don't know. Just thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.